Okay, I want to do a follow-up on the brake booster. Well, take a look at this thing. Now look at that. Look at that finish on it now. I didn't work on the centerpiece as diligently because that's going to be covered up. But I don't know if this video is actually showing how consistent, like if I hold it off to an angle, you can see how consistent the finish is from original, which is up here, to recreated, which is down there. And even the transition over here, you can hardly tell where the transition is. It's actually right there. And again, I just didn't spend the time on it to get it absolutely perfect. But, you know, the booster is going to be seen from this angle. And I was able to preserve all the original graphics on this ATE booster. I painted this. And again, the trick that I did was to use not enamel, you use lacquer, because lacquer can be polished out, and I polished this out. It looks a little inconsistent from this view, but from that view it looks great, right? Anyway, I'm really happy with this. This is original, that's original, that's original. That's repainted, but this is enamel. And see how the enamel, even though it was high gloss enamel, it just doesn't come up to a high enough shine, although I'll probably put wax on that and it'll probably come up really close. Well, anyway, that's the end of this puppy. I hope it works. Anyway, this is the ATE T51. And by the way, these are very rare. They do not have rebuild kits for them anymore, so if this guy doesn't work, I'm out of luck. More on that later. Alright, so what the heck am I doing today? Well, this is what I found out. Evaporust, well, it's great at kind of restoring the look to some of the what I want to say, zinc plating. It will remove yellow chromate if you leave it in there too long, and I left it in there too long, and too long was like 6 minutes. So what did I decide to do? Well, I'll put the chromate back on it. Now, I've done this before, but what I decided to do was to do it the fast and cheap way. I shouldn't say cheap. I'm not going to put any more zinc on it. What I'm going to do, or what I did, and I'll show you the results in a second, is I used the trusty old ultrasonic, and I tried to get the temperature up high. I probably had it around 55 degrees centigrade. I don't know, which is probably a little bit over 110. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, maybe 130, 120. So what I did is, all I did is I took the parts and I put them on a stringer. Let me show you the stringer. I put the parts on a stringer. I dunked it back in here and let that cook for 5 minutes. Washed it off with distilled water. Then I put it in dilute muriatic for about 3 or 4 seconds. Then I washed that off with distilled water. Now, I've had this yellow chromate sitting around since I was working on my Porsche 911s like 15 years ago. So what I did is I heated this up in the microwave, got a little bit warm, and figured, what the hell? What, you know, it can't do any harm. It can't look any worse than it did. Anyway, so in other words, I'm using the zinc that was on there already. And lo and behold, Like, look at that one. These parts got rechromated. That looks pretty good. Anyway, that's the fast and cheap way to do it. Now, of course, there's some parts that I am going to have to zinc plate. So, you know, there's a number of guys out there on the internet that'll tell you how to do all this stuff. So I'm kind of showing you the abridged version of the latter half of the process because I just skipped the zinc plating part. However, I wanted to test to see if this yellow chromate's still good. It's about, I don't know, 10 years old, 15. I don't know how old it is, but it's old. And it put it back on. So anyway, this is definitely a success. Now, where did these nuts come from? Well, they came from the old intake manifold. And they're going to go right back on the intake manifold. So that's a success for today. Once you chromate these, you have to let them sit for a while to dry. I dried them with a hair dryer just to get the main water off it. I'll probably put a little bit more heat on it, and then I'm going to string these up for a day. And note also that I'm using wire that was covered. I didn't use bare copper wire because I didn't need to conduct any current. And this way it keeps your bath very pure. When you put copper wire in a bath, that's a brake rebuild kit for the master cylinder. It's an original Ate master cylinder rebuild. I'm getting to that. Anyway, you can see how my parts are strewn all over the universe here. Okay, so let me get to that, and we'll catch you a little bit later. I just wanted to show you another use for that rust preventing paint. This is an epoxy type coating, but anyway, this is my fuel filler, and the paint was all missing over here, and the paint was missing, and there was some corrosion originally, so I removed the corrosion. And what I did was I painted the inside. I don't know if you can see that really well. I painted the inside and all the way up to here. This is going to be covered by the hose. Well, anywhere that you have exposure to gasoline that usually causes corrosion, use this paint. Anyway, I painted the bottom of the exhaust sender, the fuel sender, and also that little wire. Anywhere that I could get the stuff into. This is never going to corrode again under that epoxy-like finish. And I was looking for all kinds of places to put it. This is the end of the check valve that goes inside the evaporation canister. I painted the end of that because that was corroded when I pulled it out. So those are a number, and I'll tell you, the other thing about that paint is it goes a long, long way. You can use just a tiny amount and it will just cover and cover and cover. So a quart of that stuff, you could do like 4,000 square feet. Even to show you another use, I put it on the end of this, I guess this is going from the thermostat housing out to the water pump, the down. I think this goes down into the water pump. Anyway, this was corroded a little bit, and I put some on there. That is never going to corrode again. So, when you're doing these restoration jobs, look for other places to put this this corrosion paint. And again, it's called Rust Preventer. No, it's not. What the heck is it called? Let's take a look. I keep it over here. This should go on the Hall of Fame here. It's called Rust Cover Paint. It's made by TP Tools, and follow the directions on it. But it's basically an epoxy paint, and it is fabulous. Anyway, check it out later. Check it later. Okay, so I had to take a video and show you my latest accomplishment. This is very relevant to an Alfa restoration, because what happened was my blow dryer, I blew it out because of heat, too much heat in too confined a space. So I threw it out, and then I said, you know what? I bet you I can fix this thing. So here's the culprit right here. Now I took the whole thing apart. You can find videos on how to take these apart. Just look for blown thermal switch. So what I did is I used my continuity on my tester to see whether there was continuity across this resistor, and there wasn't. So I figured that this is the puppy causing the problem. So what I did was I took a piece of wire and I just bypassed the whole thing. Of course, you could have replaced this, but there's no way I'm doing that. So I bypassed it, and I took a piece of wire. One piece of the wire is in here, the other piece of the wire is in here. I soldered it because what I had to do was tighten it. You don't want it to short out against anything else. So on the bottom there, I created that little S curve to tighten it. And sure enough, I turned it on and it worked. So now I got to put this whole thing back into its plastic housing there, but I don't think that'll probably take about a half an hour. But anyway, it looks like I got heat again. At least this is a really good blow dryer. It's got 3 heat settings, and it gives you really hot heat. The other crappy blow dryers I have didn't really give me the heat I wanted. So anyway, this is just the kind of stuff you have to do a restoration, I guess. All right, well, this morning, it's cold outside, and I decided to do some work inside. And what we're going to do is we are going to clean the clutch and brake master cylinders in a Vaporust in a ultrasonic. Now, the clutch master cylinder, just in terms of finish, I don't think ever had a finish on it. I don't think these were painted. The reason I say is because if you look at the back side, I don't see any finish. I don't think these were painted black. I think they were just natural steel color. The other thing that tells me that is that looks to be an inspection pass paint marker on this. So I'm just going to put this in the Evaporust, get some kind of finish on it. Well, we'll see how it comes out. It should be, I guess, a gunmetal, not even a gunmetal, probably a steel similar to that color right there. Of course, this is all stripped down, and I cleaned it with brake cleaner. Now, the brake master cylinder is a different story. This was clearly painted black. And again, there's that inspection mark. It's like yellow paint. I'm going to do a video on just the wear on Alfa Romeos. The factory I mean, of course, this might be Ate. It might not be the factory. But what the paint markings were for accepting, parts, various subcomponents. Anyway, this was cleaned out with brake cleaner also, and we're going to chuck her in there and see how it comes out. I'm not sure if it's going to lose the paint or not. Maybe some paint will remain. Hopefully it'll just attack the rust. And I'm going to heat this up to 66 and see how that works. But just to give you an idea of some of the paint acceptance, I don't know if you can see that yet. There you go. See that little white dot? At the factory there was a white dot there. It came off. There's a white dot there, and there's red for that. That's, I think, the bleed screw for the cooling system. Anyway, on original cars you can find this stuff. On non-original cars it's usually long gone, but I'm going to do a separate video on that. The Spica has some, which is currently in transit, has some markings on it also. So this is going to take a couple of hours to heat up. Maybe an hour. You can see it's 14 degrees Celsius right now. It's probably in the low 60s. I should get a conversion chart. I wonder if there's a setting you can convert this. I don't think so. All right, well, anyway, so this is what it looks like beforehand, and I'll take a video in a couple hours afterwards and see how it comes out. Okay, well, here are the results. All right, let's take a look at the brake master first. This is what I love about this process. Even though this was in a evaporust, and also it was in a using a sonic cleaner, ultrasonic cleaner. It took off every bit of rust. There might be a little bit of residual right there. Well, look at that, was painted on the back. Took every bit off of rust, and if that paint was on the metal, it ain't coming off. Now, some of it flaked off really easily, but the other interesting thing about this is the gloss black. Now, that's pretty common. I think we see gloss black a lot. So, of course, I'm going to be refinishing this in gloss black. So it came out really good. I dried it with a blow dryer as much as I could. The resuscitated blow dryer, I might add. The most valuable piece of equipment in a mechanic's shop. A restoration shop, not a mechanic shop. And here's the clutch master. I think it's obvious to me this was never painted. I'm just not sure what the finish was, to tell you the honest truth. I think it was just plain cast metal. Now, of course, and look at that, the green. Is that some red paint? Or is that rust? It's probably a speck of rust, but the green paint stayed on there. Yeah, that's a little bit of residual rust. But I'm debating as to what the heck finish I'm going to put on this. God, that almost looks silverish. Maybe this was just cast metal that, again, when new, looked like that. I know I'm talking to myself here. That's rust. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with the result. Just not sure how I'm gonna. I might wire brush this and clear over it, satin clear. Got to put something on it. Anyway, that's a TBD. But I think what's happening right now. This stuff's been outside in the air for a few minutes. I think that's flash rust that's starting to develop on it. That shouldn't be too serious. I'm just going to wire brush through that. Well, anyway, so those are the results. Okay, well, here's the final results, at least prior to refinishing. I wire brushed these, and what happened is it came up with a really nice sheen to it. So that is what the original finish was. It's like a gunmetal color, and I'm going to be clearing this over, just plain clear satin. The brake master, no surprises here. You can see how that rust is still in there. I may have to do a little bit of treatment on that prior to painting it. Although I think regular Rust-Oleum will take care of it. That's what I got, and that's what I think I'm going to use. I could also use my Magic Rust treatment, which I might actually do, and call it a day. But anyway, this came out pretty good. Not too much flash rust. And there's a tiny little hole over there that I plugged up already because I don't want any paint to get in it. There's actually some kind of pressure relief. And the hole is right down in there. You could see it maybe at 12 o'clock right there. Right. Anyway, all right, so on to the paint booth. All right, well, this cold morning has got me doing some plating work. And I've got some 13 millimeter Roma blocks in here that I've been cooking for about a half an hour. And I also did a little experimentation on doing some blackening. I've had some black oxide solution from Caswell for like 20 years. I guess it doesn't go bad. It's the simplest darn thing to do. I just put it in there from 2 to 10 minutes. You do a muriatic bath, rinse it, and just dip it in the black oxide. Well, I will say that these are exhaust bolts. So I figure, what the heck. Anyway, so that looks like it's working. So now what I got to do is, I kind of dialed this in by feel. You could do a number of YouTube searches for how to do zinc plating. I mean, I've had this zinc set up for like many years, so it's been in here for 45 minutes or so. So let me stop this process and see what we get. All right, I'm going to stop the video too. Okay, let's look at some results here. Well, here are the Roma blocks, and I'm very pleased with them. Couple of things about the when you do this, you are going to add dimension to the parts that you plate. So what happened was when I tried to put the screws into the retainers and the Roma blocks, they wouldn't fit very well. So I had to put everything on a wire wheel and wire wheel it down. But I'm very pleased with this. I haven't done this for a while. Even the rust pits look good. Oh gosh. Now, the blackened. So these are exhaust bolts, and I blackened them in a blacking solution, and then I just put Boscheel T9 on it. You could use WD-40 probably, or any other kind of water displacing solvent, so to speak, or water displacing formula. What's Boschil T9? My friend recommended this stuff to me many years ago, and what I do is it'll actually go on like an oil, but it'll dry with a slight grease to it. I shouldn't say a waxy coating. So what I've been doing is coating everything that I've plated, not plated, even just cleaned up. Remember the cheap cleaning I did? I put Boschil T9 on it just to preserve it, and it's going to go on the car that way. All right, well, it's a cold day here. Hopefully tomorrow it's going to be a little bit warmer and I can get to some painting back on the car. That's a whole nother story. And well, while I'm at it, I figured I'd show you the there's the brake master cylinder in all its glory. I used Rust-Oleum paint on it. I'm going to be rebuilding that shortly, and I don't know what happened to the that's the exhaust manifold. Oh, I gotta go grab the here, let's see here. That's my plating setup, which actually I kind of hate to do, as I mentioned before. But this I'm really pleased with. This is the clutch master cylinder, of course. And what I did is I just put clear satin shellac on it. You could use anything that's clear and satiny, but this should be lasting for another 100 years. Well, I wonder where that green paint came from. Okay, folks. Talk to you later.